Hello friends, here I'm going to continue this respiration in plants mind map mid-year. So in previous there are short videos of mind map there only about the respiration of the definition. Now here what the details of respiration in plants mid-year here we should have to be understand. So let's see first that hope so the term respiration is term clear to all of you. Yes or no? Yes, definitely. So now see, if the term respiration is clear, now the point here to be know that how many types of respiration. Yes or no? Yes. So now check in the blank slide here. I'm going to write the types of respiration. The first, you know what here? The respiration term is clear. Am I right? Yes, definitely. Respiration is which type of process? That is a what? Catabolic process. Yes, catabolic process. That is a breakdown process. Breakdown process, breakdown process means what? Yeah, that is breaking off what? Glucose. And whatever we take food in the form of glucose, that very glucose is broken down into simpler substances so that the body can utilize that very energy to each and every part of the cell media. Okay, hope so you are getting. Now the point here is what? The types of respiration media. Let's see. I'm going to write here the types of respiration. Okay, this one is the second point that is very, very important to know, my dear. That's how many types of respiration. Basically, dear, there are two types of respiration. Yes, definitely. You're right. Yes, hope so. You are intelligent, my dear. So there are two types of respiration. One is what? Aerobic respiration. See what I'm writing here. One is what? Aerobic respiration. Is that clear? And second one is what, my dear? Anaerobic respiration. Second one is what? Yes, I'm going to write here what? Anaerobic. Anaerobic. Anaerobic respiration. Hope so clear. Yes. If anybody can ask you that how many types of respiration, then what you say? Yes, definitely you are right. That is one is what? Aerobic, and second one is what? Anaerobic respiration. Now the question is here, dear, that do you know what is aerobic respiration and what is anaerobic respiration? No. So simple. Let's see. Here, whenever I'm just going to tell you about, or whenever anybody can ask you about the term aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, see, here the term aerobic derived from aerobes, my dear. What I'm saying? Aerobes. So if I'm saying here that what aerobes, it means what? Presence of oxygen. What I'm saying? What I'm saying? Presence of oxygen, or is it the food? But while whenever I am saying the anaerobic, that means what? Anaerobic, this word derived from anaerobes. What I'm saying? Anaerobes. And this anaerobes means, you know what? Yes, that is vice versa. That is what? Absence of oxygen. What I'm writing here? What I'm writing here? Absence of O2. So here the one difference is clear. One difference is clear. Yes, in the presence of oxygen, aerobic respiration, while in the absence of oxygen, that is what? Anaerobic respiration. Is that clear? Definitely. So see, one of the differences clear, my dear. Okay. Sir, this one is so simple. Okay. Now, what the other difference between aerobic and anaerobic? Don't know. Let's check here. The second difference of aerobic and anaerobic, let's see. The second difference here during aerobic respiration, the breakdown of the glucose and give energy at what? Tremendous amount. That is what? 38 ATP. How much amount of energy here we get? Yes, dear, 38 ATP. While in anaerobic respiration, in a limited supply of oxygen, or is in the absence of oxygens, only here we get how much amount of ATP, my dear? 2 ATP. Is that clear? Very good. You don't know the full form of ATP? Let's see. The full form of ATP is what? Adenosine triphosphate. What I'm writing here? Adenosine triphosphate. I'm writing here. Adenosine triphosphate. Clear. If anybody can ask you the full form of ATP, then what you say? Yes, good. Adenosine triphosphate. Very good. You are so intelligent. Definitely, you are so intelligent. Let's see. So respiration term is clear. Yes, types of respiration. Two. One is what? Aerobic. Second one is what? Anaerobic. Now the question is here, dear. So what the topic? Respiration in plants. So what here we should have to be know? Yes, in plants. So my dear, here I am going to tell you the how the plants respire. We know that the plant respire with the help of what, my dear? Yeah, that is, see here, this one is the what, leaves. This one is the what, I'm making a diagram of what, leaves. And this leaves having what, minute opening, my dear. See here, this one is the side vein. This one is the leaves, na? Let's check. This one is the leaves. Yes, sir. This one is the leaves. Here I'm going to draw. Let's see what I'm going to draw. Here the fine. Here like this one is what? Side vein, or you say the ventlets, you say what? This one is what? Ventlets. This one is what? Ventlets, my dear. Am I right? Yes, sir. Okay. Let's see. And there is what? Minute opening. This one is what? Tell me. You don't know. So simple. This one is minute opening, which is present on the basal region of the leaves, my dear. That is known as what? Stomata. Stomata. Yes, you are right. Stomata. And the term stomata. Stomata is what? Plural, and stoma is what? Singular. Okay. You want to know here the leveling also, each and every parts of the leaves. Let's see here. So see, this one is lamina. This one is what, my dear? This one is what? Lamina. This one is what, my dear? Lamina. Clear? This one is called leaf apex. This one is called what, my dear? Leaf apex. Okay. And this one is known as what? Mid vein. This one is what, my dear? Mid vein, my dear. And see, this one is what? Side vein. This one is what? Side vein. This one is what? Side vein, my dear. Okay. And there is a small opening. That very opening is known as what, my dear? Single. That is singular is stoma, and plural is what? Stomata. And you know this one is the leveling. What the name of this one? This one is stalk. This one is called a stalk, or you say petiole also, or you say what? Petiole. So when you go in morphology in plants, then you know this one thing. Okay. Yes. Leaf stalk or petiole. Okay. So here basically the stoma, or you say the stomata. What I'm saying to you, my dear, see, a stomata. I'm writing what? A stomata. So stomata is what? You know stomata is what? A stomata is what, my dear? A stomata is a opening which is present on the basal region of the leaves, my dear. Getting my point? Yes, basal region of the leaves. Let's see. A stomata means what? Small opening. What I'm writing here? A small opening, my dear. Okay. So during the daytime, the stomata what? Open, my dear. And you all know that the stomata having what? Bean shape like a structure. Let's see. This one is stomata. And this stomata having what? Double layered membrane, my dear. What I'm saying to you? My dear? This one is what I'm saying? Double layered membrane. And you know this double layered membrane, my dear? Definitely you know. Tell me the name. Sir, that is guard cell. That is what, dear? Guard cell. And see, here the chloroplast. I'm making what? This one is what? Chloroplast, my dear. Okay. Now I'm going to level this one diagram. Okay. So this one is the what? Guard cell. This one is what? Guard cell, my dear. And this one is what? This one is what? Chloroplast. This one is what? Chloroplast, my dear. Okay. And this one is what? Stomatal pore. This one is what? Stomatal pore, my dear. Okay. So during the daytime, the stomata what open. During the daytime, what stomata open, but during the night, stomata close. So that's here the respiration mainly take place with the help of what? Stomata. So mainly here, what I'm saying, respiration in plants take place with the help of respiration mainly. What I'm writing here, respiration mainly take with the help of what I'm saying with the help of stomata, my dear. What I'm saying, with the help of stomata. Getting my point? Getting my point or not? Tell me first. Yes, sir, definitely. So here I am just telling you that the stomata is responsible for mainly the exchange of gases, inhalation of carbon dioxide and exhalation of what? Oxygen, my dear. Is that clear? So let's check here. So here the respiration term is clear. Respiration term is clear, my dear. Respiration in plants. So if I'm saying here that the aerobic respiration, here the tricarboxylic acid, that is what matrix of mitochondria I'm saying, TCA, tricarboxylic acid. This tricarboxylic acid, my dear, first off, oxidative phosphorylation site. Yes, phospho. When I'm saying phosphorylation sites, then there is must be a particles. The name of the particle is if not at F1 particles in the inner mitochondrial membrane. And this inner mitochondrial membrane is responsible for the mainly what exchange of gases will take place, my dear. Okay. So let's see how. So whenever we go through NCERT, my dear, then we understand this one is what simply. So let's check NCERT line. Let's check NCERT line, my dear. Wait for a moment. Here the respiration in plants, my dear. Let's check here. So respiration in plants here, the basically here you see this one is the what? This one is the what? Wait for a moment. This one is the what? Glucose. This one is the what? Glucose C6H12O6 plus 6O2 gives what? 6CO2 plus 6H2 as well as what? Energy, my dear. Am I right? Yes, definitely. You're right. Now, here, this one was very important to know here that, my dear, if this energy is useful to the cell, what I'm saying here, listen first. If I'm saying here that if this energy, whatever the energy produced after breakdown of the glucose, so if this one energy is useful to the cell, then it should be able to utilize it to synthesize other molecules that cell require. Getting my point? Getting my point? No. See, here I'm saying that whatever the energy give as a end product during breakdown of the glucose, that very energy able to utilize its synthesis of other molecules. Getting my point? So the strategy that the plant use what? Catabolize the glucose. What I'm saying? Catabolize. I'm saying here what? Catabolize to glucose molecule in such a way that not all liberated energy goes out as what? Heat. Some energy will be stored there. So here whatever the oxidize of what? Glucose, not in one step but in several small steps, enabling some steps to be just large enough such that the energy release can be coupled to ATP synthesis. Can be what? Coupled to what? ATP synthesis. And this ATP energy is responsible for providing many biochemical reactions within the body cells, my dear. So during this very process of respiration, my dear, oxygen is utilized and the carbon dioxide, water and energy are released as a product, my dear. Getting my point? Getting my point? Again, I'm repeating here. During the process of respiration, oxygen is utilized. Oxygen is what? Utilized, and carbon dioxide, water, and energy is released as a product, my dear. So whenever you want to be burn something, or combustion reactions require oxygen, you all know. So during the combustion reaction also they release what? Carbon dioxides. So can you think such a situation when organisms O2 not available? Yes or no? If the oxygen is not available, yes. If the oxygen is not available there, then there also respiration will take place. But that respiration is known as what? Anaerobic respiration, right? So if I'm saying here that there's sufficient reason to believe that the first cell on this planet lived in the atmosphere that lacked oxygen. They doesn't having live in the presence of oxygen. Even among present day also, there's some living organisms. We know several that adapted to anaerobic condition. It means what? Anaerobic condition means what? That very organisms, they adapt himself as not in the presence of oxygen. That is what? Anaerobic conditions. So some of the organisms, what? Facultative anaerobes. Facultative, you know the meaning of facultative? Facultative means that they are not depend on others. Yes or no? While in others their requirement for anaerobic condition obligate, it means that they need oxygen. So in case all living organisms retain the enzymatic machinery to partially oxidize glucose without the help of oxygen. Yes. So if any organisms respire in the absence of their oxygen, or you say the limited supply of oxygen, then their oxidation will take place. Yes, their oxidation will take place, but in which amount? Partially oxidized glucose, not completely oxidized. But here you see what? Here you see what in this very reaction? Here you see the complete oxidation of glucose, my dear. Getting my point? Getting my point? So this breakdown of glucose to pyruvic acid is called what? Glycolysis. This one is very important, my dear. So what I'm saying here, whatever the breakdown of the glucose, my dear, to what? Pyruvic acid is called what? Glycolysis. What if we say? Glycolysis. Now the term here is what? Glycolysis. This is very, very important to know, my dear. You know what? In glycolysis, let's see. Here I'm saying you the term glycolysis, that is originated from Greek word. That is what? Glycose for sugar, and lysis means what? Splitting. So if anybody can ask you about the glycolysis, then you see here that the term glycolysis derived from Greek word glykos, and this glykos means what? Dear, sugar, and lysis means what? For splitting. It means that this scheme of glycolysis was given by the scientist. The name of the scientist is Gustav Imbeden and Otto Marhoff and J. Arnas. Getting? So that's why these three scientists is often referred to as EMP pathway. And this EMP pathway was given by the three scientists. So that's why the name is here what? EMP pathway. E for embedded, okay, and M for what? M for what? Marhoff, and E for what? Parnas. So that's why the name of referred to as what? EMP pathway. So let's see what I'm saying. So if any anaerobic organisms, my dear, only the process of respiration, this EMP pathway will follow. So the glycolysis occur where? In a cytoplasm. Let's see what I'm saying. Glycolysis occur where? Glycolysis occur where, my dear? Let's see here. Glycolysis occur in what? Cytoplasm. So if anybody can ask you about the glycolysis, where it occur, glycolysis occur in where? Cytoplasm. And you all know that, my dear, cytoplasm is a dense jelly fluid. This one is what? Dense jelly fluid. And this fluid is what? Also solution. That solution is called what? Colloidal solution. What I'm saying? Colloidal solution, my dear. Getting my point? Getting my point? So this one is the thing. Let's see. Here I'm going to tell you about this one thing that is very important, my dear. That is very, very important to you. So here what I'm saying here, my dear, here I am saying that in this very process, glucose undergo partial oxidation to form two molecules of pyruvic acid, not complete oxidation. So here the pyruvic acid what? They broken down into how many? Two molecules of pyruvic acid. So let's see, in plants also, my dear, the glucose is derived from sucrose. In plant also, the glucose derived from where? Sucrose, which end product of what? Photosynthesis. And this end product of photosynthesis from what? A storage, my dear. What we say here, this one we say here that the carbohydrate. Sucrose is converted into glucose. Let's see here. Sucrose is converted into glucose and what? Fructose. Which one enzyme is responsible here for converting the sucrose into sucrose is converted into glucose and fructose? You know, the enzyme is called invertase. This one is important to you. And now these two monosaccharides, how many monosaccharides readily enter the glycolytic pathway? Here, see, this one is the word glycolytic pathway, my dear. So here the mainly the steps, six mainly steps here, that the glucose and fructose are the phosphorylated to give rise to glucose 6-phosphate by the activity of enzymes hexokinase. So here the hexokinase is an enzyme which is responsible for converting the glucose and fructose in the what? Yes, glucose 6-phosphate by the process of activity of enzymes. That by enzymes is known as what? Hexokinase, my dear. Now the question is here, if anybody can ask you in glycolysis, which type of reaction is here? Here is the chain reaction. What I'm saying? These here are what? Chain reaction. Let's see. I'm going to write here. What? This one is the what? Chain reaction. This one is what, dear? Chain reaction. Getting? So when I'm saying here the chain reaction, it means what? It means what? When I'm going to this on the chain reaction, this means that the glucose then isomerizes to produce fructose 6-phosphate. What I'm saying? Fructose 6-phosphate. And this fructose 6-phosphate is a very, very essential for, my dear, and this subsequent steps of what? Metabolisms of glucose and fructose are the same. Now the question is here, so glycolysis are of chain of 10 reaction. How many reaction? Chain of 10 reaction under the control of different enzymes. See here the chain reaction I am written now. So here all these chain reactions occur here under the control of different enzymes, my dear. And see, these different enzymes take place to produce what? Pyruvate from glucose. Pyruvate from glucose. So firstly, the glucose convert into what? Their pyruvates, my dear. What I'm saying? Pyruvate. So while we are studying the step of glycolysis, my dear, here we should have to please note the steps. What the steps is needed for the converting of that very glucose into what? Pyruvates, which is utilization, or you say the synthesis of ATP. In this case, here the NADH plus H plus ions will take place, my dear. Okay, let's see how this one is occurred. Okay, let's see here. The first, the ATP is utilized it at 2 steps, my dear. So here I am saying that whatever the ATP, adenosine triphosphate, energy is released during the respiration, my dear, that very ATP is utilized in 2 ways. What are the 2 ways that the ATP is utilized? First, here the conversion of glucose into glucose 6-phosphate, number 1, and second one is the conversion of fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-biphosphate, my dear. So see here what I'm saying. Here I'm saying that whatever the energy is released during the time of respiration in the form of the ATP, that very ATP is utilized in 2 steps, my dear. That one step is that what? The conversion of glucose into glucose 6-phosphate. Number 1, please note it down. Note it down. That is very important line in your NCERT dear. Okay. And second one is the what? The conversion of fructose into what? 6-phosphate to fructose 1 and 6-biphosphate, my dear. Now further, this fructose, now the fructose 1 and 6-biphosphate is split into dihydroxyacetone phosphate and 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde, PGL. Okay, PGL. So we find here that one step where NADH plus H plus ion formed from NAD. Formed from where? NAD. And this is when 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde, PgL is converted to 1,3-biphosphoglycerate BGPA, then two redox equivalents are removed. Two redox equivalents are removed in the form of two hydrogen atoms, and this from PgL is transferred to the molecules NAD plus. What I'm saying, NAD plus, and this PgAl oxidized to be the inorganic phosphate to convert into BPGA. So here the conversion of the one form of the molecules into the another. Basically, the PgL is oxidized and with the inorganic phosphate to get converted into what, BPGA. Now here the question is here, so how the BPGA, that is 3-phosphoglyceric acid PGA, that is also energy yielding process, and this energy yielding process is trapped by the formation of what? Yes, absolutely, you are right. That is what? ATP, my dear. That is what? ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Now the question is here, sir, how this ATP synthesized during conversion of PEP? What I'm saying? PEP. So to pyruvic acid. Can you then calculate the how many ATPs molecules, my dear? What I'm saying? How many? Wait for a moment. How many molecules? You see here that basically in the pyruvic acid is the what, key product of glycolysis. So if the key product is not be there, then how it be possible to form any stored energy, my dear? So what is the metabolic fate of the pyruvate? The metabolic fate is totally depend on the cellular needs. So what the need of the cell, this one is responsible for the fulfilling the fate of pyruvate, my dear. Now the question is here, sir, how many major way in which different cells handle pyruvic acid produced by glycolysis? See, here these are the lactic acid fermentation, alcoholic fermentation, getting my point, aerobic ferment respiration. These all are the major way in which the different cells handle the pyruvic acid to produce by glycolysis. Okay, so you have to be, please note it down, take out your copy and note it down, this thing that is very important to you, all of you, my dear. So here this fermentation take place under the anaerobic conditions. So now the question is here, how the fermentation will take place? The fermentation will take place in the absence of oxygen. Yes, you're right. For the complete oxidation of glucose, my dear, here the end product we get in the form of carbon dioxide and water. Getting my point? So however, whatever the organisms, whenever the Krebs cycle is included, which is also called aerobic respiration, they require what? Oxygen supply. So this one is very simple funda that you have to be know here that how the aerobic respiration will take place, how the anaerobic respiration will take place. So basically, aerobic respiration, there the oxygen supply is required. So oxygen is required for the breakdown of the glucose. So whenever the glucose is breakdown in the presence of the oxygen, my dear, then gives what? Tremendous amount of energy. Yes, definitely you are right. Now the question is here. My dear, that what? Fermentation, about the fermentation. Now see, if anybody can ask you about the fermentation, it means what? In a fermentation, you know that the yeast, that is what? Incomplete oxidation. What I'm saying? Yes, oxidation is be there, but what type of oxidation is be there, my dear? Incomplete oxidation of which one thing? That is, see here, that is glucose, which is achieved by the which one? Respiration, anaerobic condition, my dear. Okay, and this anaerobic condition sets by the reaction where pyruvic acid is converted to carbon dioxide and ethanol. So see here, so during at the time of the fermentation, this incomplete oxidation of glucose is such a reaction where the pyruvic acid is directly converted into their carbon dioxides and ethanol, my dear. You know the formula of ethanol? No, you don't know. Let's see here the formula of ethanol. I'm going to write here ethanol, that is alcohol, C2H5OH. Getting yes or no? Tell me first. Ethanol term is clear. So see, so here the enzymes pyruvic acid decarboxylase and alcohol dehydrogenase, these all are the enzymes which catalyze the reaction. So if anybody can ask you what the enzymes which is responsible for catalyze the reaction, that is the fermentation, my dear. Then you say there what? You say there, sir, that basically the enzymes, that is what, decarboxylase and alcohol dehydrogenase, and basically catalyze this all very reactions. Now the question is here, is there any possibility of the other organisms, that is unison organisms, which produce which respirations will take place? Yes, definitely. Why not? If the bacteria I'm telling here, they produce a lactic acid. They produce what? Lactic acid. From where? From pyruvic acid. Now the question is here, sir, how it be the possible of forming this bacteria to produce a lactic acid from pyruvic acid? Let's see. Here the some steps are involved. Let's see here in the flow chart. Here the flow chart major pathway of anaerobic respiration. Okay, so what the main pathway of anaerobic respiration, my dear? See here, the first this one is the glucose, and this glucose is break down in the presence of their oxygen. Then it gives what? Glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. How many phosphates? So 3 phosphates is here, that is glyceraldehyde, and this 3-phosphoglyceric acid gives in the result in the form of NADH, NAD in the form of plus ions. Then it gives release in the form of NADH plus ion, and this phosphoglyceric acid is what? Phosphophenol pyruvic acid, my dear. What I'm saying? Phosphophenol pyruvic acid. And this phosphophenol pyruvic acid, it is mainly utilized for that very pyruvic acid, my dear, which gives in the end result of what? Ethanol, as well as what? My carbon dioxide. So this one is the simple path that how the fermentation will take place. Now the question is here. Here the NCERT will ask here that what then would be the maximum concentration of alcohol? What the question is here, very important here. What then would be the maximum concentration of alcohol in the beverages that are naturally fermented? Here the maximum concentration of alcohol in, my dear, here we say that the alcoholic beverages such as in the what alcohol content that is in the greater amount, then the concentration are obtained, my dear. Okay, so what then the process by which organisms can carry out complete oxidation of glucose? Here the some extract of energy that is stored in the form of there is what? Synthesis large number of ATP molecules. So whenever I'm saying the large number of ATP molecules needed for the cellular metabolisms, the metabolisms, the term metabolisms here? No. See here, if I'm saying here the term what? See here, whenever I'm saying the term metabolism, this is very important to know here. Hope so you know also. Don't know? Let's see. Here the term I'm writing what? Metabolisms. I'm writing what? Metabolism. Metabolisms means what? Sum of all biochemical reaction. But I'm writing here. Wait for a moment. Wait for a moment, my dear. Sum of all biochemical reaction. What I'm writing here? Sum of all biochemical reaction. So see, if I'm saying here that sum of all biochemical reaction, it means what? That is what? Catabolism. That is what? First one is what? Catabolism, and second one is what, my dear? Anabolism. Second one is what? Anabolism. So here see, whenever I'm saying that this one catabolisms and the anabolisms, catabolisms, catabolism is a breakdown process, my dear. Here see, I'm going to write here the term catabolism is what? Catabolism is what, my dear? Breakdown process. What I'm saying? Breakdown process. It means what? It means what? The complex food materials broken down into water soluble molecules so that the body can utilize that very energy. While anabolism is vice versa of catabolisms. You know why? This one is what? Anabolism, known as what? Formation process. What I'm writing here? What I'm writing here? Formation process. Getting? Yes, sir, definitely. This one is so simple. Here I'm saying that whenever I'm talking about the catabolisms, it means what? Breakdown process, right? So whenever I'm saying the anabolisms, it means what? The formation process. Here it means that the complex food broken down with the help of the various steps of enzymes into water soluble molecules so that we can utilize energy to each and every part of the cells. While in anaerobic respiration, my dear, we all know that yes, there is also the breakdown of the glucose, but they'll produce less amount of energy. They're also performing some catabolic process and anabolic process. So anabolism is very simple. It is only responsible for the form. What? Yes, formation process. It means that what? So many complex molecules when formed, when the simple molecules combine together, my dear. Okay. So when the simple molecule, just take an example of amino acid. So whenever the amino acid combine together, they need form what? Protein. Yes, definitely right. Very good. Now, the point is here to be move ahead. Let's see what the other thing that we should have to know here. Let's see here. I'm telling about the aerobic respiration. Let's see here aerobic respiration. I was told in earlier also. So if I say here saying here that the aerobic respiration means what? Aerobic respiration take place within the mitochondria. What I'm saying? Within the mitochondria. Just this one is very important line, my dear. So that's you just mark through this one thing. Take a pencil and mark over there. Okay. So the final product of glycolysis, pyruvate, is transported from cytoplasm. Whatever the food broken down in the form of their what as a end product of the glycolysis, pyruvate. So these all are transported from where? From the cytoplasm and to where? Into the mitochondria. Why I'm saying only the mitochondria? Why we not say the other cell organelles? You know why? Because the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, my dear. So that's why I'm saying here that for during the aerobic respiration, it just take place within the mitochondria, and this whatever the end product will produce in mitochondria, that is in the form of glycolysis pyruvate, and this glycolysis pyruvate is transported from cytoplasm into the where? Mitochondria. And mitochondria, you know that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cells. So whatever the energy is stored, where it is stored? It is stored where? In a mitochondria. So now the thing is very important here, very important here, that what the crucial event in aerobic respiration. They are so crucial role. You know what the crucial event, my dear? Let's see. Number one, during the complete oxidation. What I'm saying? Complete oxidation of pyruvate. So suppose if the complete oxidation of pyruvate will take place, and there is a what? Series of event, my dear. So removal of hydrogen atom is also there, and leaving 3 molecules of what? Carbon dioxide. How many molecules of carbon dioxide? 3 molecules. In the same way, whenever the passing of the what? Electrons removed as part of hydrogen atoms, molecular oxygen with simultaneous synthesis of what? ATP. There, simultaneous synthesis. Simultaneous synthesis means what? The continuously synthesizing of what? ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and again the formation of the energy will take place. And here, very interesting to note here that the first step that is take place in matrix of mitochondria. You know the meaning of matrix? That is a fluid. Fluid. The first step, it is very important to note here that whatever the breakdown of or whatever the respirations process will take place where? In the matrix of mitochondria, while the second process is located on the inner membrane of mitochondria. And you all know that mitochondria has double layered membrane. Let's see with the help of the diagram. Let's see with the help of the diagram, my dear. See, if I'm making this one the diagram of what? Mitochondria. Okay, wait a moment, make the color change. Here, this one is what? Mitochondria. This is what? Double-layered membrane having inner incal. Correct? This one is what? Outer membrane. This one is what? Inner membrane. Clear? Getting my point? So this one is the inner membrane. This one is what? Inner, and this one is what? Outer membrane. Getting my point? Yes, see here the pyruvate, which is formed by the glycolytic catabolism of carbohydrate. So if I'm saying here that the glycolytic catabolism, it means that in the cytosol. Now you hope so you confuse here the term cytosol. Hope so you also not confuse here, because in the chapter Cell, the Unit of Life, that is in cytology, there is the cytoplasm of two types. One is the cytosol and second one is what? Cytosol. So when we say the cytosol and when we say the cytogel, yeah, we say when we remove all the cytoplasm, only the organelle is be left there, then it is known as what? Cytosol. While vice versa, when we remove the organelle and only the gel is present here, it is known as what? Cytogel. Getting my point? Getting my point? Again, I'm repeating. I'm saying here that when we say cytosol and cytogel, we say cytosol whenever the what? The cytoplasm removed from the cell. Only the organelle is be there. Then it is known as cytosol. Now, vice versa, when we remove the what? All the cell organelles, only the gel is be left there. Then it is known as what? Cytogel. So this one is the thing that is very important to know here. Okay. Now see, if I'm saying here that the mitochondrial matrix undergo oxidative decarboxylation. You know the meaning of uh, decarboxylation, my dear? You know, decarboxylation means that here the complex set of reaction. What I'm saying? Complex set of reaction, and this complex set of reaction, my dear, catalyzed by what? Pyruvic dehydrogenase. Yes, catalyzed by whom? That is the word pyruvate dehydrogenase. And this dehydrogenase is an enzyme which is responsible for breaking down of the pyruvic acid into acetyl coenzymes, my dear. Let's see here the reaction catalyzed by the pyruvic dehydrogenase require the participation of several coenzymes including NAD and coenzymes A, my dear. Yes, you are right. So this one is the reaction. This one is the reactions, my dear. Clear? Now the question is here. How many molecules of NADH are produced from the metabolisms of two molecules of pyruvic acid? You know? Yes, there are two molecules. Definitely correct. Two molecules of NADH are produced. Getting? So if I'm saying here that the two molecules of NADH are produced, yes, then here that is very important to know here that produced from one glucose molecules during the glycolysis. Okay, sir, this one is correct. Now the thing is here that is have to be clear in a CoA acetyl CoA then enters a cyclic pathway, and that very cyclic pathway is what you know, that is a tricarboxylic acid cyclic, more commonly called as what? Krebs cycle, my dear. Here the name of the scientist is what? Hans Krebs, who first elucidated it. So whenever go in a detailed video, my dear, then I will tell you there that how this Hans Krebs cycles will occur and what the effect of this Hans Krebs cycles, which is very important to understand in a topic respiration in plants, my dear. Okay, so here only the mind map, so that's why I'm not going in details, because you all know that whenever we go through the details of these very things, then it is not the way of the revision only. There is the mainly basic thing that what is important to know here, that the things that is very in concise manner. So that's why I'm saying here that you whenever you go in examination, first you listen this all very mind map. Hope so these all things mind map is very interesting for you, and this interesting point of things is very important for your examination also, my dear. Let's see here. That's what I'm saying. Here I'm saying that what the respiration is termed as a what? Amphibolic pathway. So if I'm saying here the amphibolic pathway, it means that involves both anabolisms and catabolisms. Yes, here I say na, the terms anabolisms and catabolisms. Yes, good, definitely. So anabolism is the formation process, while the catabolism is the what? Breakdown process, my dear. So this one, the process goes continuously, and this one is the what? Whenever the tricarboxylic acid is toward second of electron that transport the chain reaction site of what? Inner mitochondrial membrane, my dear. This one is told. Now here the thing is that is what? Tricarboxylic acid, that is a site of matrix and what? Mitochondria. So if anybody can ask you, let's wait for a moment. Wait for a moment. If anybody can ask you, what I'm saying, anybody can ask you that how the first oxidative phosphorylation site will take place, then you say what? If not and if one particles in the inner mitochondrial membrane. So where? Inner mitochondrial membrane, and having the what? Inner folds. That inner fold is known as what? Termed as cristae. And that very cristae is important to increase the surface area so that the rate of absorption will take place. Getting my point? Getting my point? So this one is the important thing. Now see, according to NCERT, what the thing is here. Let's see. Let's see here. Tricarboxylic acid cycle. Here the given. In a tricarboxylic cyclic media, here the citric acid cycle is here. Citric acid cycle, it means what? How the cycle will be occurred, because we know that the whatever the amount of glucose is not same as in the pyruvate. Here the half number of the glucose is be here, that is pyruvate. Okay, so here the co-acetyl enzymes as well as acetyl enzymes both are very important here. So one is the NADH plus ions and release what? NADH plus, or again as well as what? CO2 also be released. Now here the things that is very important to understand here, that what? So here I'm saying that this one is the pyruvic acid. When this pyruvic acid is broken into the word simple molecules, that simple molecules in the form of their what? NADH, FADH2 and ATP. So whatever the energy which is stored in the form of their ATP, that very ATP is energy. That is also known as energy currency of the cell. Hope so you know this one thing. When I'm saying this energy currency, because this one is the ATP which is stored in our body. That very ATP energy released in the form of their ADP, and that ADP, that is adenosine diphosphate, is utilizing that very energy to the each and every part of the cell, my dear. Now the question is here, suppose sir, suppose if I am telling you, wait a moment, if I am telling you electron transport system, ETS, and oxidative phosphorylation. So here, this one is very important to know. Here the diagram is also given in your NCERT. Let's see here first, electron transport system, ETS, how the electron move through each and every part of the concentration of the cell. This one is important point to note here, my dear. Okay. Yes. So let's see. If I am saying here the electron transport system, it means that here mainly in the mitochondrial matrix, where it is occurred, mitochondrial matrix. Matrix is what? Fluid. So during the citric acid cycle are oxidized by NADH, that is dehydrogenase is an enzyme that is very complex. It is very important to know here that the electrons are then transferred to the ubiquinone located within the inner membrane, my dear. What I'm saying? Inner membrane. See here. And this ubiquinone is also receive what? Reducing equivalent via FADH2. That is complex second, my dear. So this one is also very important. But in spite of knowing these all things, here we must have to be know that when the electrons pass from one carrier to the another via complex 1 to 4 in the electron transport chain. Here the ETS, electron transport chain, or electron transport system you see here, that is mainly responsible for the transmitting of the electrons from one region to one concentration to the another concentration, my dear. Now the question is here, how this one is possible? So this one is possible when we go through in a detailed video of respiration in plants, my dear. Okay. Now see here the respiratory balance sheet. What the respiratory balance sheet? So important. Let's see one by one. Getting? So respiratory balance sheet means that there is a sequentially orderly pathway functioning with one substrate forming and the next with glycolysis. Next with what? Glycolysis. So here the term glycolysis, which is mainly responsible for the formation of the glucose within the body cells, right? So here that cycle is also goes continuously, such as TCA, ATH, these all are responsible. Only glucose is being stripped, no other alternative substrates are entering in the pathway and the what? Any intermediary stages. Now, this one is the very short way that I have described about this mind map, my dear. Okay. So now let us compare the fermentation and aerobic respiration. Okay, fermentation occurs account for only a particular breakdown of glucose, whereas aerobic respiration, it's completely degrade to carbon dioxide and water. First, there are differences, or you say the first comparison between the fermentation and what? Aerobic respiration. Okay. Now, in fermentation, there is a net gain of only 2 molecules of ATP for each molecules of glucose. And this each molecules of the glucose is degraded to pyruvic acid, whereas many more molecules of ATP are generated under aerobic condition, my dear. So see, here the aerobic condition which is responsible for the breakdown of the glucose in the presence of their oxygen. Getting my point? And now, last point is here. In comparison between fermentation and aerobic respiration. Last point is here. NADH is oxidized. You know the meaning of oxidized? Addition of oxygens. Yes. So NADH plus rather slowly in fermentation. However, the reaction is very vigorous. They release a tremendous amount of what energy in case of aerobic respiration, my dear. Okay. So this one is the basic, the path that how the comparison we have to be take place here the between fermentation and aerobic respiration. Now the second thing that is very important to know here in a mind map, that is what an amphibolic pathway. If I'm saying here that the amphibolic pathway, it means that here the glucose is the favored substrate for respiration. We all know. Now the question is here, if I'm saying about the carbohydrate, is this one is directly? No. Here the carbohydrate is usually converted into glucose before they are used for respiration. Getting my point? Again, I'm repeating here all the carbohydrates and others usually first converted into glucose. First converted into what? Wait for a moment. First converted into what? Glucose before they have used for respiration, my dear. So whatever the things to be respired first of all, the conversion of glucose is necessary, but then they do not enter respiratory pathway at the first stage. Getting my point? Here the glycerol would enter into the pathway after being converted to PGAL. Okay, so this PGAL is just only a conversion or the pathway that being converted into PGL. Okay, so since respiration, it involves the breakdown of substrate, my dear. See here in the graph, interrelationship among the metabolic pathway showing respiration mediated breakdown of different organic molecules to CO2 and H2O. Getting my point? Let's see here. Here I'm saying that they are basically the nutrients such as fats, such as what I'm telling you, fats. I'm telling you about the carbohydrates, proteins. So how this converted? See here first, the carbohydrate, that is simple sugar, that is glucose. And this glucose is broken down into how many phosphate? Glucose 6-phosphate. This break down into fructose 1,6 biphosphate, and this hydroxy acetone phosphate, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. These all are the what acid. And finally, this glyceraldehyde is converted into pyruvic acid, and this pyruvic acid acetylcholine Krebs cycle, my dear. Once the release here the carbon dioxide, other they release what? Water. Getting my point? Now, next thing that is very important to understand here, and you just take out your copy and write down here, that is very, very, very important, my dear, for the board exam also as well as the NEET exam also. Let's see. This one is very, very important. Okay, so let's see. Here I am saying that respiratory quotient, it means that during which one respiration? Aerobic respiration, oxygen is consumed and carbon dioxide is released. You all know oxygen is consumed and carbon dioxide released. So the ratio of this volume of carbon dioxide evolved to the volume of oxygen consumed in the respiration is called respiratory quotient. This one is very important. The ratio of the volume of carbon dioxide evolved to the volume of oxygen consumed in respiration is known as what? Respiratory quotient, my dear. So RQ, or respiratory ratio. Here the RQ, or the volume of carbon dioxide evolved, whatever, is divided by the volume of oxygen consumed, then we get what? RQ, that is respiratory quotient. Again, I am repeating. When we divide the volume of oxygen consumed during respiration with the volume of carbon dioxide evolved, then we get the result of respiratory quotient. Quotient, you say. Getting this one thing? Now, here you see here that the respiratory quotient depends upon the type of respiratory substrate. So, what the respiratory substrates we get during respiration? Okay. So, when the carbohydrate are used, the substrate completely oxidized, then RQ will be 1. See here. If I'm saying here the carbohydrate are used as a substrate, then completely oxidized, then RQ will be 1 because of equal amount of carbon dioxide and oxygens are evolved and consumed. So, in respectively shown in the equation below, here, let's see here. Here the formula of glucose in the presence of oxygen, they gives what carbon dioxide, water, energy. So, here the RQ is what 6 CO2 divided by 6 O2. Getting my point? 6 O2, my dear. Getting? Yes. So, how much here the amount? Respiratory quotient is what? 1. So, when the fat are utilized in respiration, the RQ is less than 1. You know, whenever we eat fat, the RQ respiratory quotient is what? Less. Calculation or fatty acid, and you try palmithene. It is used to substrate as shown in the figure, my dear. So, this one is the what? Tripalmithene, and this tripalmithene is the word broken down into the presence of what? Oxygen, 155 molecules. Sorry, 145 molecules of oxygen. Break down this tripalmithene into carbon dioxide and water energy, my dear. Okay, so here the respiratory quotient is what? 0.7. Yes. Hope so, my dear. This chapter is completed from my sides, and this one is only the basic detail. This one is the short details of respiration in plants, my dear. So when we move ahead, then we understand that all very things, that what the thing is we given. Okay, in details video, dear. What I'm saying here? I'm saying here that in details video, not here, because here is the only what mind map, and this mind map is only for that very students who have already read this one chapter at least 2 times. At least 2 times, I'm saying. Getting my point? At least how many times? 2 times, I'm saying. So if anyone is students read this one chapter at least 2 times, then this one is very, very beneficial to you. But if the students is not go through this 2 times of NCERT, then it is not easy to understand, my dear. Getting my point? Because when you go through this whole thing, then you have the mind map is what work for you. Yes, definitely right, work for you. Getting? So all the things that whatever the given in NCERT, I will just tell here. In next, whenever we take the detailed video of this very respiratory plants, then I will give you some thing that is very important in that very parts, my dear. Okay, so thank you for watching me. Thank you. Have a nice day. Take care. Hope so. Bye bye.